How do you think Kevin Durant's unsuccessful tenures with the Nets and Suns over the past 6 years affect his legacy? And I think that's interesting because this next stop is an opportunity to kind of change how people have perceived him these last 6 years. So what do you think, S, about what's been going on with him?
Man, the truth is, I don't think Kevin Durant cares. I really
I
don't
don't think
think
he
Kevin
does
Durant
either.
cares.
I don't.
Like I think he's one of those guys that, and obviously, like he's very active online and social media and whatnot. But like, I do not think he cares whatsoever about what that legacy looks like because, when people look at legacies 20 years after, kind of in hindsight, there's always this sort of like revisionist history of what happens and what doesn't happen, and you can 100% look at Brooklyn and Phoenix as situations that didn't work out. And KD, you could blame some of it on him and what happened, but the Nets like were a toe away from from, from really doing some damage. You know what I mean? Like we got to remember these type of
uh,
things when we're having these conversations. And for Phoenix, I think it was less about what they did to acquire, well, less about Kevin Durant coming to Phoenix and more about what they did to acquire Kevin, which was the new owner syndrome and trading a million different things that really gutted everything that they wanted to do to potentially build a contender around what KD and Booker could do. So I don't necessarily see it that way. I also think that KD just does not care, and it doesn't like this type of stuff does not bother him. And I also would bet that like 20 years from now, we probably look at the KD stuff a little bit differently compared to what we do right now.
sure. I mean, I think on one hand, he's still one of the 10, 15, 20, however you want to rank him, greatest players of all time. So he hasn't hurt his legacy, but he hasn't helped it. Like he hasn't increased his standing all time as one of the greatest players ever in the last 6 years. He's just stayed the same. And that's in part because of some of his choices, like going to the Nets and pushing for him and Kyrie, pushing for DeAndre Jordan, forcing a Jared Allen trade. Him and Devin Booker wanted DeAndre Ayton out. That leads to a deal back where they got Nurkic. He wanted Bradley Beal, recruited him. That's been a disaster as well.
Yeah.
It's not all
Yeah.
his fault. The idea of Bradley Beal made sense. Ayton had his own problems in the postseason. Things made sense. Your veteran, like Jared Allen, wasn't what he became in Cleveland yet.
Yeah.
So like all these things make some sense in hindsight. So I don't think he's necessarily hurt it, but he just hasn't helped it. And that's where I think the thing with KD, and everybody says, oh, the Suns are asking for too much. Suns are asking for too much. Maybe they are, okay? Maybe they are asking for too much. But Kevin Durant is still, at worst, one of the 25 best players in basketball, and at best, one of the 10 best players in the NBA.
Absolutely.
He might be 37, but he's still awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And he raises, for the right team, he will raise whatever it is to a championship contender, right? If Minnesota goes there and they somehow find a way to get a center, it's likely that they're going to be a championship contender. We talked about the Spurs, and I'm not necessarily as high on them trading too much to go out and get him, but if it's for the right price,
skyrocketing odds.
Yes, absolutely. And like, I think for KD, this is the last stop, right? This is probably the last stop. Wherever he gets traded, he's looking for a contract extension. He's looking to get paid. And this is likely either the last stop or the second last stop. This is the career-defining moment to maybe erase some of the stuff that happened in Phoenix and Brooklyn and really define your legacy in a way that can be great, that's why I come back to Minnesota. I come back to the Wolves, who are right there, who could make a move and get to that next level. And it just makes all the sense in the world if they somehow find a way to keep Rudy Gobert or find another center,
So on Yahoo Sports this week, I published an article with the headline, Kevin Durant trade destinations. Which wildcard teams might want to roll the dice on a deal for KD? And this was tying the KD situation now to how Kawhi Leonard wanted the Lakers, while the Raptors went and trade for him. 1 year, one championship, all worth it, even though he left. It's how the Thunder traded for Paul George from Indiana. Paul George wanted Los Angeles. He goes to OKC instead. He ends up re-signing. He liked it there. Never won a title, but he was very good there in some of the best basketball of his career. They trade him for a haul that has changed everything for the franchise. And so KD's older than those guys were at the time, Kawhi and Paul George, but I think the logic still fits the same, and that's why Shams and Windy and a lot of these guys in the reporting world have talked about dark horses and wild cards, and why Minnesota's part of these conversations, why Toronto's part of these conversations. But in my column on Yahoo, I looked at some other guys. I looked at The Orlando Magic maybe as a dark horse. I looked at the Detroit Pistons, the Denver Nuggets. I looked at the LA
God,
Clippers.
I love the Nuggets pick.
The Sixers.
I love the Nuggets.
You
pick.
like the Nuggets one?
My goodness, I don't know.
I don't think they have enough. That's the only thing.
It's hard to
it's
see
a weaker
how they get
offer.
in the door. Yeah. Wait, what was the trade that you suggested in the Nuggets?
It was MPJ, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Hunter Tyson, and a 2031 first to the Suns, Zeke Naji to a third team. I just don't think it's enough.
Yeah.
And so that's the issue with the Nuggets. Like whatever their best offer is, I don't think it's enough. But I love the idea of KD there as an upgrade over MPJ. And the Sixers, Paul George, and future picks for Kevin Durant. That one's interesting, especially if a team like the Brooklyn Nets were willing to absorb the salary and the Suns could instead get salary relief or other assets in return rather than George. I think that one's interesting, more interesting than I think a lot of people give it credit for, considering the place of the Suns right now and what might be out there and the amount of picks the Sixers can also offer. The Raptors were one of them as well.